Welcome you. Okay, get ready, because today we're diving into something, well, pretty mind-bending.
We are indeed. We're looking at a piece called A Better Past, I Future for a Better Present.
Right, and it tackles this idea about our worries, the stuff about our past, our future.
Mm-hmm.
And it asks, are those worries even really about us?
Yeah, it's a fundamental question.
So have you ever actually stopped to think, is that anxiety I have about something next year? Or that regret from last week, is it actually about me right now?
Right.
Or maybe someone else?
It's a strange thought to start with, isn't it?
Definitely. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the source, it throws this big idea at us right away. A bit of a curveball, really.
Which is?
That when we're stressing about, say, past mistakes or what might happen tomorrow, we're basically worrying about the problems of, and this is the quote, other people entirely.
Other people entirely. That sounds odd. Really odd.
It does sound strange at first.
Because, my mess-ups from last year, they still feel very much like my mess-ups. And the things I want to achieve next month, they feel like my goals.
Of course, that's the natural feeling.
So how does the source justify saying they belong to other people? Where does that come from?
Well, the core idea is about the nature of time and self.
Hmm.
It argues that the present moment is constantly, well, vanishing and being replaced.
Okay.
So with every instant, a kind of new world pops into existence. And crucially, the self that you were, say, 5 minutes ago, or the self you'll be tomorrow, that's a completely other self.
A completely other self, like totally different.
Fundamentally, yes,
Yeah.
according to this view. They only seem similar. Think about looking at photos of yourself from years ago.
Yeah, okay.
You recognize the person, right? It looks like you. And that triggers a connection, maybe empathy, nostalgia.
Right.
But you know you aren't that exact person anymore. The source takes that idea to the extreme, applying it moment to moment.
So let me try and grasp this. That feeling of dread I sometimes get thinking about, I don't know, a difficult meeting next week.
Uh-huh.
The source is saying that the future me, the one in the meeting, is actually a different person than the me now, feeling anxious about it.
That's the proposition, yeah. It feels like a big leap because the similarity is so strong.
It really does.
But think about the analogy the text kind of hints at. Worrying intensely about your past or future self.
Yeah.
It's almost like getting super worked up about the problems of a complete stranger you read about.
Okay. I wouldn't usually lose sleep over a total stranger's problems, not in the same way I worry about my own future.
Exactly. We might feel general sympathy, sure, but the personal angst, the deep worry we feel for our own past or future, the source suggests it's kind of illogical if those selves are truly distinct entities from the you right now.
So the takeaway is, my past anxieties technically happen to a slightly different version of me. That's pretty wild.
It is wild,
Yeah.
but logical from the specific viewpoint.
But that past self was me, fundamentally. And the future one will be me. Surely that strong sense of connection, that similarity, counts for something huge.
Oh, absolutely. The source doesn't deny the feeling of connection. It acknowledges that these past and future selves look incredibly similar to our present self.
Right.
And that perceived similarity is what sparks our empathy, our concern. But the argument holds. The actual problems, the experiences belonged or will belong to a different instance of you, a specific version existing only in that past or future moment.
Okay. This is where it gets really interesting for me then. If my worries about the past and future aren't really about me in those moments,
Right.
why do they feel so intense now? Why do they hit me so hard in the present?
Ah, yes. The million-dollar question, as they say. And the source has an answer for that.
Which is?
It argues that our concern, no matter if it's directed towards the past or the future, is always rooted, fundamentally, in the present moment.
Always in the now.
Always in the now. We feel an urge, a discomfort right now, and we're trying to resolve that present discomfort, which lives in our current thoughts and feelings.
So it's not about future me failing that meeting.
Not directly, no.
It's about present me feeling bad right now at the thought of future me failing.
Precisely. The worry, the emotion, it's happening now. The discomfort is now, even if the event it's about is not now.
Okay, that makes kind of sense.
And this ties into another fascinating idea the source brings up, the concept of the alien future self.
Alien. Like E.T. sounds a bit dramatic.
Funnily chuckle.
Yeah.
Maybe a little dramatic phrasing, yeah. But the idea is that our future self, while looking like us, is ultimately a separate entity. They're navigating a reality that, for us right now, simply doesn't exist yet.
Okay, and then unknown territory.
Exactly. So when we do things for our future, save money, try to eat better, plan things, The source suggests we do that because in this present moment, we identify with that future image. We see a version of ourselves that seems continuous.
Right, like looking ahead. I see a future me who benefits from me saving now.
And that perceived similarity, that connection, motivates our present actions.
I can see that. It's like looking at an old photo again. You know it's you, but also not quite you anymore. There's connection, but also distance.
That's a great way to put it. And when we imagine that future alien self-suffering maybe being broke because we didn't save,
Yeah.
that's where sympathy kicks in strongly. We project ourselves mentally into their situation, feel their potential suffering now, and that present discomfort drives us to solve our perceived future problems before they happen.
This really emphasizes the role of similarity then. The source uses those striking examples.
It does, like how we react more strongly if a person is harmed versus, say, a tree.
Right. Or even a human-shaped statue versus just a lump of wood.
Exactly. Or someone mobile versus someone immobile.
What's the underlying point there?
It's showing how directly our emotional response, our empathy is tied to how similar the other seems to our current self.
The more resemblance, the stronger the feeling.
Precisely. And this isn't just about actual other people or statues. It applies directly to our mental images of our past and future selves.
So the more vividly I imagine my future self, and the more similar that image feels to me now, the more their potential problems will affect me now.
That's the idea. The perceived similarity dictates the strength of the present emotional response.
Okay, so if we could somehow lessen that feeling of similarity, would that actually reduce the anxiety? Dial it down.
Well, that's exactly the path the source points towards for moving beyond these past-future concerns. It talks about grasping a deeper truth. The idea that, in truth, all is one. That if we understand this interconnectedness, we can learn to, as the text says, contain all of these forms within themselves.
Contain all these forms. That sounds quite abstract. What does that mean practically, like day to day?
It suggests a pretty fundamental shift in perspective. Instead of identifying rigidly with this idea of a single self stretched out across time, we start to see ourselves more as part of a larger flow. Like a river, the water flowing through is always changing, new molecules arrive, old ones leave, but we still call it the same river.
Okay, I think I follow the analogy.
If we can really internalize that, our attachment to any one specific fleeting form, whether it's past us, present us, or future us, naturally starts to lessen.
And if that attachment weakens, what's the result?
The source suggests we become less hooked by the emotional pull of empathy for those other selves. We aren't automatically dragged down by imagining their suffering.
So less worry, less regret.
Potentially, yes. And this leads to a greater sense of freedom in the now, being, quote, truly free to choose freely and wholly in the present, because you're not constantly burdened by anxieties rooted in these other time-bound versions of yourself.
So the conclusion here, the real bottom line, is that we're never actually working for that past person or for that future person.
Not directly, no.
We're acting to soothe the discomfort we feel right here, right now, when we think about those other similar seeming people from different times.
That's precisely it. The source puts it clearly. The person does not work for the future I passed, but for the image of a person from another time who seems to be very similar to them, a person who is suffering in some way. This image makes them feel bad at this time.
Wow.
And here's the really powerful kicker. Somebody who truly solves their problem from within solves all the problems of the past or future too.
Solves the present problem, solves them all.
Because the problem of the past or future is actually experienced as a problem now.
Okay, let's bring this home for you, our listener. This deep dive, based on a better past I future for a better present, it's really suggesting that maybe, just maybe, your anxieties about yesterday or tomorrow are fundamentally reflections of how you're feeling right now and how you perceive this thing called yourself across the timeline.
Which naturally leads to a pretty provocative question for you to think about.
Go on.
If your past and future selves are, in this very real sense, other people, how might thinking about that actually change how you deal with the concerns you have today?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? Could seeing things this way be, well, a tool? A way to maybe navigate anxiety differently?
Perhaps allowing you to focus more fully, more completely on the present moment, on the you that is actually here, experiencing things right now.
Something to definitely chew on. We hope this dive gives you some food for thought about how these ideas might resonate in your own life.